Okay, everyone, good afternoon or good morning whenever you're looking at this. This is Dr. Ray, and you are looking at my computer. I'm currently sitting at home trying to dodge all the viruses. My son is out of school, so I'm watching him. He's sitting right next to me, and
Hi.
I've got two dogs in the room, so if you hear them barking or clicking around behind me, that's what's going on there. This is my very first screen grab recording that I've ever done with this setup. So this is all new to not only you, but also to me. But I wanted to take the time to try and see if I can introduce to you project number 5. Now you'll recall project number 5 is currently due after spring break, and you can look for the exact date and time on Canvas, as always. The due date I believe is March 31st, but you'll need to double check that. Okay, so like I said, we're in my environment. This should be recording my screen right here. I use Ubuntu, so things are going to maybe look a little bit different than what they will for you or what you're used to. This window right here is the terminal. This is where I'm going to be compiling and running our code. But the code that I compile and run should run and compile and run just exactly the same for you in Dev C++. Okay. Over here is my folder where I have my information that I want to keep for Project 5 files. You'll see that I already have the assignment 5 answer right here. I'm going to do my best not to show you that ahead of you're actually figuring it out yourself. These are the files that you have available to you. Breadcrumb1 is just a test file that I have, so ignore that. And a.out is the way that Linux does executables. So that for you will be your executable whenever you compile your code. Okay, so the point of this is to be able to simulate sort of a very simple game. I hope you've read the assignment. Here, let me actually open that file up. That'd be great for us to have a look at. So let's open Project 5. Okay. Yeah. So the point is to write a simple game that allows the user to maneuver around a virtual map. And eventually either end the game by typing in Z, the letter Z, or reach the final room. Okay, the number of rooms on the map is variable and will be determined by the map file. So the last room will also be variable, but it's the last one listed. So if it's like in our example, if it's a 15 room map, then to win the game you have to get to room 15. Or you type Z to quit the game. Okay, so the way that the user moves around is they type in the letter U, D, L, or R. That's for up, down, left, or right. The user does not get to see the map that they are of the game that they are in. Instead, they have to explore the map and build that map for themselves, however they want to do that. We, of course, we the developers know what the map looks like. So let's start there. I've given you a couple of test files, gamefile.txt and simplemap.txt. This one we'll come back to in a second. This one we'll see next. So pa5map.pdf, this is the map that I designed and built to represent the game areas. Okay, and you can see how they're connected together. There's 15 areas, or I call them rooms, 15 rooms in this map, beginning with room 1 and room 2, room 3, room 4, room 5, all the way through 15. And these arrows indicate, you'll notice that each of these rooms has an up direction. So room 2 connects to room 11. A down connection where room 2 connects to room 1, a left connection where room 2 connects to room 9, and a right connection where room 2 connects to room 3. Not all of those are always exactly as clear, you'll notice that, for instance, room 10, if you leave room 10 from the left to the left, you come back to room 10. So there's no way out of room 10 going to the left. Same for going to the right, same for going up. Going down, you can get to room 11. Now, you can get into room 10 from room 3. So if you're in room 3 and you go right, you get to room 10. Or likewise, following this path around, if you're in room 12 and you go right, you get into room 10. Now, I don't know how that works in actual three-dimensional space. Doesn't seem like it would, but this is a virtual world, so we can do pretty much whatever we want as long as there is a path, and only 4 paths, leaving each room up, down, left, and right. Okay? So we need some way to represent this map in a file, in a text file. And so that's what this gamefile.txt does. Okay? Now you're going to design, in fact, the skeleton for your program already allows users to type in a string for a game file. And I'll look at that in just a second. I know we had a problem in class the other day using an input string as the name of a file for an IF stream object, but I figured that out. So we're going to look at that in just a second. So let's display gamefile.txt. Okay, so here is the text file that represents this map. Okay, and let's look and see how that works. So the first number, the first line, tells how many rooms that there are. Okay, so there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 rooms in this map. Okay, so room 1 is on the second line right after the number of rooms in this file, and it is up, down, left, right, 2, 6, 8, 4. So let's go over here. Remember 2, 6, 8, 4. All right, room 1, up 2, down 6, left 8, right 4. Okay? And the rest of the rooms follow that same pattern. Room 15 only has one way out, and that's to the up. But of course, when you get to room 15, the game should end anyway, because that's the last room in the map. Okay, that's the 15th room in the map, and you can see, there you go. Okay? All right, hopefully that makes sense. If not, I'm going to put a discussion up for, and I may already have done this, but I want to put a discussion board up for project number 5. And if you have questions there, treat that discussion board as if it were a question and answer session in class. I'll be perusing it. Your other students will be perusing it. If you see a question that you already know the answer to, this is just like having a discussion in class. So feel free to answer those questions. Now, that doesn't mean that you should pass code. Okay, you can't pass code around. Everybody's code should be their own, and those rules still apply. But I want you to feel free to discuss this with one another in much the same way as you would in class, in an open discussion session, and I'll be around looking to try and answer questions as well. So go there if you have further questions. Okay, so what else have I given you? All right, so here's the main assignment 5 main .cpp. Now you'll notice that I've given you a main function again. Here, let's make this big. I've given you a main function again. Int main. Do not modify. It says right here, the main function. There's no need to. You can see that I have listed here in comments the 6 basic things that this program needs to do. Okay, some of those need to be looped over and over again, and you can see 1, 2, and then inside the loop 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and then one of 2 things is going to happen: either congratulations, you made it to the last room, winner, game over, or game over, better luck next time. And the way for the game to be over, better luck next time without winning is for the user to type in Z. So you'll see either Z or they have found the last room. Okay? Now what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to spend a little bit of time thinking about how this is designed and looking especially at each of these function calls. Okay? There are several functions that you are going to need to write, and this time I have not provided the declarations for you. Now this is our standard procedure that I told you about before, where as we move along, I'm going to be giving you less and less starter code for you to go on. On project number 4, I gave you the function declarations. Here, I have not. You have to give them to me to make them yourself, and you have to write the function definitions down here. Now, not to worry, you do have additional resources. So if we go back over here and look at this, all right, there we go. So here's an outline, okay, of read num rooms, get start room, read line in, print options, write breadcrumb, update current room, okay, etc. Okay, and you'll see that for those are the what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Those are the 6 functions, okay, that you're going to need to write, because these are precisely the 6 functions that the main program depends on being there. And in each case, you're going to need to write them so that they have, in each case I've listed the incoming information and the outgoing information. So here's the thing we have not done before. We have not passed an if stream variable to a function, but it works like passing all the other variables, but we should always pass them by reference. Okay? Research online examples for further details. Also, we can talk about that further in the discussion board as you move forward. Okay? Get start room accepts the number of rooms on the map. It passes back. It has outgoing information, the room number that the user wants to start in. Okay? Summary, this function asks the user what room they want to start in. If they give a valid number between 1 and the number of rooms on the map, then that value is set. Otherwise, the current room is set to 1. Okay? All right. Now, that is something I haven't directly mentioned before. Hopefully you've read that in the instructions, but what the game is supposed to do to begin with is it's supposed to allow the user to type in what room they want to start in, and if they don't start in a room between 1 and the number of rooms that there are, then they automatically start in room 1. Okay? All right. So, but don't worry about that. A lot of that is already set up in main. You want to do what these functions do, right? This function is very simple. It takes in the number of rooms. It returns an integer, the room number that the user wants to start in. That's all it does. And if you make that function do that, and you test that function works, and you treat each of these functions in isolation, then I guarantee you, if you make these functions work, then the main function has already been written correctly, and then you will have a running program. So look and study on what the main function is doing. Think about what each of these simple functions needs to accomplish. Write them all one at a time. Test them all one at a time. Slowly grow your solution. This is a divide and conquer technique that we are applying. Okay? And I've done that for each of these. Functions that you're going to need. I've given you the name. I've given you the incoming information, the outgoing information, and the summary. You need to, from that, figure out what the function signature is going to be, what the function definition is going to be, what's its return type going to be. Obviously, you know what its name is. What kind of parameters is it going to take? Are they going to be passed by reference? Are they going to be passed by value? You also need to, of course, look at the main function. So back over here, you'll notice that this function call does not return anything. Yet there is some outgoing information for our function. So what does that mean? It has a void return type, but it returns some information. So it sounds to me like that's going to be mean that we have to use pass by reference. Okay? All right. I don't know if you have any other questions. If you do, you can use again that use the sorry for all the background noise. My neighbor is cutting his grass and the dogs are going crazy. But again, you can use the discussion board, and then I'll answer there. Now, real quick, let's run this solution. There are some. Oh, by the way, simplemap.txt is a simpler game map. I haven't provided the PDF, but this file represents a different game map that you can also run and use. Be sure to look at here, down here for the sample runs, and I'm going to run a live sample run here in just a second. But those are sample runs from actual running code. That's the solution code running that generated those sample runs. So you can look at that for further information. Okay, so hold on just a second. Let me go to here. Then I'm going to do this. Now, this is how I compile. Okay. And I'm going to compile my answer code. Okay. And then this is how I execute that program. It all looks very different from what you'll be doing, of course, but the result should be the same. Okay, so what's the game file name? All right, so I'm going to use, as long as my files are in the same folder as my executable, then all I have to do is type in the file name, which I do right there. Okay, so now we're off and running. There are 15 rooms. What room would you like to start in? I'd like to start in room 5. Okay. All right, so from here you can choose the following options. Up goes to room 4, down goes to room 13, left goes to room 6, right goes to room 11. Make your selection by typing UDL or R. Right, down to room 13, all right, down to room 14, and down to room 15. All right, I made it to the last room. I'm a winner. Okay? All right, so let's run this program one more time using a different file. This time we're going to use the other one that I've created for you, and feel free to create your own files. The way I created this, and I don't have this, but I just took a little sheet of paper, and I knew I wanted like a 5-room map, so I linked them up, right? And I made my own file. Now this is not part of the requirement. Game files will be provided for you. I'll actually provide when I grade this a separate test file. But feel free to make your own. It's meant to be an inventive experience for you. All right, so simplemap.txt. There are 5 rooms. What room would you like to start in? All right, I'm going to start in room 1 this time. Okay. Oh, look, I can go left and get to room 5, but let's do something else. Let's go up to get to room 2. Let's go right to get to room 3. Let's go down to get to room 4. And let's type Z to quit this game. Game over. Better luck next time. Okay? All right, I think that's pretty much... I didn't mention one other thing. One other thing is the breadcrumb file. All right, let's open this up. Okay? This was generated just now. Okay? Actually, it was generated with the previous one, it looks like. Not sure why. I might have a bug in my answer code, but that's okay. I'll go look. But this was generated, not that one, rather this one, was generated by the first run that you saw me do. Actually, that might be standard. I might still be writing to this. Okay, there we go. Sorry. Here's what happened. In my testing, I didn't want to overwrite breadcrumb.txt, so I made my program write to a file called breadcrumb1.txt. So don't do that. Yours should be breadcrumb.txt. I just wanted to not overwrite this file because I knew I was going to give it to you. So all I did in that last run was I went up to room 2, I went right to room 3, I went down to room 4. So this file is automatically generated. It generates a breadcrumb trail, that's why it's called breadcrumb, of how you moved around, how the user moved around in the map. Okay, so your program should also be generating this file, and you'll find out how to do that by looking at the functions again and by looking at the main. Okay, it's very uncomfortable for me not to be able to see your faces as I describe these things. I'm hopeful that you are understanding. If not, please use the discussion board. If I haven't set that up, I'm going to go set it up right now, right after I post this screen capture video. Okay, looked for more instructional content from me using similar approaches. We need to learn some new things about arrays and random numbers this week. So we're going to cover that material, and I'm going to do screen captured examples much like this and record video for that. Okay, so that's looking like how we're going to move forward in the coming weeks. All right, I hope you're all safe. Stay inside, stay away from folks. Be safe, and I will see you either virtually pretty soon or in person, hopefully before too long. All right, take it easy. Bye.